So guys, what is tax? Or maybe let me just start by letting you know what tax is. Tax comes out of something called the fiscal policy of a country. And you guys have heard a lot about fiscal policies. And most of you don't know what fiscal policies are. But I'm going to break it down to you because you're my students. In any country, there's something called a macroeconomy and a microeconomy. And I know you've heard economists speak about macroeconomies and microeconomies. And a normal person will wonder, what do you mean by macroeconomy? What do you mean by microeconomy? What do you mean? The precise description of what a macroeconomy is, it is the economy of the nation. So it is the whole economy of a nation. The economy of the nation, how the nation is producing versus how the nation is spending, while versus how the nation is basically making money. So how the nation is making money versus how it is spending. That is what a macroeconomy is. It is the interaction of the buyers and the sellers at a national level. It is the interaction of the government, the households, the regulators, all manner of those kind of people at a national level. But when you speak about a microeconomy is an economy within a macroeconomy. It is a smaller version of a macroeconomy, but within units. So it could be within a company, which we normally call firms, or it could be within a household. Your house is a unit of an economy. So the economics that are happening within your house, we call those microeconomies. So anytime you hear microeconomies, just know that we are speaking about a unit of an economy within the national economy. So for a macroeconomy to operate, that is the economy of a country or a nation to operate, there are some specific players within those. We have the government, yeah, and then we have the people. The people want to do business. The people want to engage. Storytime, thank you for your gifts. The people want to do business. But to do business in a country, it is not possible to do business if the environment is not conducive, if the environment is not favorable. Yeah? You cannot do business if the next person in your house is a thief. You cannot do business if the next person next to your shop is a thug. Because they will mess up everything. They will walk into your shop and they'll take away what you have made and they will snatch it and go away. So in a typical economy, the government has to exist so that it can create an enabling environment for businesses like yours and mine to operate and to thrive. And because of that, this government, have you ever asked yourself, this government that is monitoring this macroeconomy, where does it get money? Because the government is just a group of people that the citizens have elected to be able to create that conducive environment for them, to build roads, to avail things like water, to ensure that there is conducive security for the businesses to operate and thrive so that the people can make money. So that government, for it to now operate, that government needs support from the people because you have elected the government, that government needs support. So for the people who normally ask, what is the purpose of tax? Why do we need to be taxed? It is for the precise reason that the business that you're doing and the household that you are living in has to exist in an environment that is safe. It has to exist in an environment where it can thrive. And that environment cannot be created by any other person, but it's being created by the government. And the government, therefore, for it to survive, it will need to come back to you for you to support it. And how does it come back to you guys? It comes back to you through taxes. And that is the genesis of taxation, my dear brothers and sisters. So if you ever wonder why we need to be taxed, we need to be taxed so that we can be created for an environment that is conducive for our businesses to thrive. So the government, out of its own wisdom, then realizes this process of collecting taxes, how am I going to do it? Because I understand that this same economy that we live in, there are people who have money, there are people who don't have money. There are people who are gifted with talents, and their talents are paying them. There are people who are not gifted. There are rich people in the economy. There are poor people. Thank you, Karim Said. There are rich people in the economy. There are poor people in the economy. So how do we get all these people in the economy to give something to the government, but at the end of the day, whatever they're giving to the government is not hurting them? And that is where now the government comes up with something called fiscal policies. So guys, if you have ever wondered what a fiscal policy is, the fiscal policy is just the frameworks by which the government tries to collect as much taxes as possible from the people and then to spend that money to be able to create a conducive environment. So if you came here without understanding what a fiscal policy is, now you know. It is a framework that the government uses to try and maximize what it can make from the community and from the nation, so that it can use that to spend to build a conducive environment for businesses to thrive and for households to thrive. Yeah? Now, let's now water down these fiscal policies. There are different types of businesses operating in an economy. There are different types of households, like I have told you. So the government has to make sure that it applies specific principles of taxation. There are things called principles of taxation. Does anyone know what principles of taxation are? The principles of tax. I don't want this to be a monologue. If it becomes a monologue, I will also get bored. So Carl's Okoth, so just take me slowly. We are coming there. This is a whole class up to 10 o'clock. So I don't want to go fast. I just want to go step by step, because there are some people here who also are just starting. There are some people who are tax people, and there are also people who, do not have the basics. So I'll just go step by step. In my class, I appreciate everyone. And I accommodate everyone. So guys, I have just asked a question. Yeah, principles of taxation. I hope you guys know what principles of taxation are. Principles of taxation are the guiding, simplicity. You guys are smart. Story time, thank you. I am really speaking to smart people here, and I thank God that you are my follower. So I was asking you guys about the principles of taxation. Someone has already said, that is Karis Okoth has already said that it has to be fair. Karis, please tell us what you mean by it has to be fair. Someone said it has to be simple. It has to be simple in the sense that the cost of collecting taxes by the government should not be too much to the level that now it eats into. Yes, thank you, Rod. Rod, you are doing a good job. I truly appreciate. I've pinned it. So, the simplicity of the tax system, it should be that it should. What was I defining? Simplicity. Okay. The simplicity of taxes should make it such that the public should not be struggling so much to pay. Like, thank you, GK. The public should not be struggling to pay taxes to the government. It should not be a very complicated process. I don't know whether you guys remember some time back. It was a whole process to go and line up at Times Tower. If you remember very well, there was a time you will walk past Times Tower and you will find people standing a very long line along Times Tower. And then I was wondering, is the government really serious on collecting taxes? You want to collect taxes from people, but then you're making it so hard for these people to remit their taxes to you. They have to line up along Haile Selassie Avenue to come and remit their taxes. So whenever a government is coming up with taxation principles or taxation systems, it has to make sure that paying taxes is very simple, so that the people can comply. What is the other principle? I'm looking at you guys. What is the other principle of taxation that someone had given us? Any other? Let me check back up. We had efficiency. Okay, Terry, thank you. Efficiency, simplicity. We have equity. Carl Sokoth had said equality and equity. Yeah. So equality is, you guys know the difference between equality and equity. Equality is just that no one should be discriminated based on their unique identifiers. For example, as a man, I shouldn't be taxed more than a woman is being taxed. Or I shouldn't be taxed more, one Kenyan citizen shouldn't be taxed more than another Kenyan citizen if all the other factors are the same. That is equality. But equity means you should be fair enough that you should not tax people based on their abilities. You should not really tax, for example, mtu wa mjengo who probably makes like, let's say what, who probably makes like, let's say 500 shillings a day. And then you go ahead and tax this guy almost 250,000, shillings. How then do you expect this guy to survive? So equity is in the sense that the tax system should be able to accommodate all these people within the different tax ranges. And that's why, guys, you understand why we have for people who remit payee, we have those bands for payee, so that people who are earning the most are paying the most, while the people who are earning the least, they're paying the least. You know that. So that is what equity is. Do you have any other certainty? Yes, Kulkari, thank you so much. Kulkari is speaking about certainty. I'll define that. And then you have transparency. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So I'll not spend so much time on the principles, but you guys are getting what I'm trying to say. You guys are getting exactly the point that I'm trying to pass across. So those are the principles that will guide the government when it comes to taxing. Now, it takes me now to the next conversation. What do you think, how will I put it? You guys, tell me, what do you think is the role of KRA, Kenya Revenue Authority? What do you guys think is the role of Kenya Revenue Authority? What is the role of Kenya Revenue Authority? What is the role of Kenya Revenue Authority? Guys, I want you to engage me. Collection of taxes. Thank you, Winnie Jerusa. Collection of revenue on behalf of the government. Thank you, Rod. Administer tax collection. Thank you, Carls. Any other before I close and I proceed? Any other? Account for taxes. Okay, revenue collection, regulate tax. Okay. I think you guys, we are on the same page. There's a reason I'm asking you guys that. So the role of the Rhoda said harass citizens. Okay, what most people don't know, most Kenyans, not most, but there is a big number of Kenyans who confuse what KRA does. Guys, KRA was set up by the government specifically to just collect taxes. KRA has the duty to collect taxes. KRA does not come up with the laws around taxes. KRA does not come up with the laws around taxes. The laws around taxes are still made, of course, by the law-making body in Kenya. And you guys know who makes laws. Who makes laws in Kenya? Who makes laws? My class, who makes laws? Who makes laws? Parliament, thank you. Parliament is the body of the government that makes laws. So do not ever say that KRA is coming up with laws that are hurting the citizens. KRA does not come up with laws. KRA only implements the laws that the government through Parliament has come up with. And for most people who don't know, for those laws to be for the legislators, like you've said, to come up with these laws, they have to, of course, come up with a bill. And the bill has to be discussed on the floor of Parliament, and the bill then has to be assented, of course, by the president. And once the president assents the bill into law, then that is the time that you will find that KRA will now pick that up and run with it. So let me give you a bit of information. There is something called Income Tax Act. Income Tax Act is the law that governs taxes in Kenya. There are very many others. There are very many tax acts that have been built. I don't know whether I have that in my notes. Okay, there are many. They are like, where is my note? Where? 11. I want to read for you all the 11 tax acts that we have in Kenya. I want to read to you those acts, and then I want you to tell me which one have you never had, so that I tell you how we don't know much about our country. So there is the Income Tax Act. I think that one everyone knows. Income Tax Act. We have the Customs and Excise Tax Act. That one I think you guys know. We have Telecommunications Act. We have Refinery Throughput Tax Act. We have Air Passenger Service Charge Act. We have Value Added Tax, that is VAT. And then we have Entertainments Tax Act. And then we have Stamp Duty, I think that one you know. And then we have Local Manufacturers Act. And then you have Second Hand Motor Vehicles Purchase Act. And then you have Tax Procedures Act. Those are just too many words. But in short, we have almost 9 acts, legislations by Parliament that are trying to guide the government on taxes. But the main one is the Income Tax Act. So whenever the government wants to come up with a bill or to change some of those acts, then they will come up with something called a finance bill. You guys heard of the finance bill, and I know most of you didn't even know what it was. They didn't know what was happening. But I'm right now telling you this, that the finance bill was the bill in Parliament that was tabled so that the new government can come up with its own ways in which it thinks it can maximize taxes from the people. Now let's go back. So once Parliament has made those laws, Parliament will direct KRA to collect taxes, and KRA has the responsibility of collecting the taxes. So when KRA comes to you, they are just implementing what they have been told to do, guys. They are not coming up with anything by themselves. Yeah, the controversial, yeah. So KRA, they are not coming up with anything by themselves. They are just implementing exactly what the government of the day has told them to implement. Okay, so I'm losing my trail of thought. I want to go to another... I will remember. Let me remind my people first to follow me. Let me remind my people to follow me, then we will pick that conversation up. So what were we trying to achieve tonight? If you are coming in for the first time, this is a tax class. My name is Duncan, and what I do is that I educate the public, guys. And through educating the public, I hope that you will be impacted. I hope that you will come to the realization of so much about our country, so much about our environment, and you'll be able to use that information to your own good, because education is power. There's a reason it is called knowledge. Knowledge basically comes from the word know. Thank you, Kulkare. Thank you, Kulkare, for following me. There's a reason why it's called knowledge. It's because what it means is once you know, you will have an edge over others. Did you guys know that? Did you that you can separate knowledge, and you actually define knowledge as once you know, you will now have an edge over others. People who don't know don't have an edge. If you don't know, you don't have an edge. It is very easy for you to remain behind in life if you don't know. So today I'm teaching you something. It is important you know so that you can have an edge over others. And that is why we are here. So if you have just joined in, please don't leave without following me, guys. Don't leave without following me. There is a whole group of smart people we are trying to build on YouTube. And I want to take these followers by virtue of you being on my class. By virtue of you being on my class, guys, it means that you guys are smart people and you're interested in knowledge. And it then makes a lot of sense for you to follow me on my YouTube channel. So this night, I am targeting that you guys, 100 of you, just 100 of you, I will go to bed very happy that 100 of you will have followed me. 100 of you. It's a new YouTube channel. I have really tried my best. I think I have uploaded almost 90 videos. 90 videos is not kidogo. It's not kidogo. That's quite a lot on YouTube. Guys. So because of that, don't let all the work that I'm putting in to go to waste. Don't let the work that I'm putting in to just appreciate my work, guys, by following me on my YouTube channel. And I will definitely appreciate. We are doing great. We are doing great so far. I've already spoken to almost 4,900 people. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy, guys? That is crazy. Quite crazy. I'm surprised. Starting with income tax. Okay. So let's now go back to class. That I've taken that break. So now it's good for me. So now that we are done with the principles of tax, I just went through it quickly so that we can get into the actual taxes. There are units of taxes where the government now can collect taxes. The government can either collect tax from an individual, you as a person, or it can collect taxes from something called an incorporated entity. You are the person. And incorporated entities most of the time describe companies. So the government has two sources. It can collect taxes from you, or it can collect taxes from the incorporated entities. But before we even go there, the sources of money from the government is the government can borrow money abroad or wherever it is that they can borrow. They will borrow money, or if they will not borrow, they will collect taxes. So collection of taxes and borrowing of money are the two avenues through which the government of Kenya makes money, or whichever other government. Or grants. Sorry, I was forgetting that one. The third one is grants. So grants, debt, or taxes. Next week, we shall speak about debt, the Kenya debt situation. Next week, we'll speak about it. Rod, remind me next week about the Kenya debt situation. We'll come and discuss that. But for now, let me go back to taxes. So it can collect taxes either from you as an individual, or it can collect taxes from an incorporated entity. And that is why when they're issuing KRA pins, they give KRA pins. You can have your personal KRA pin, and then they can have the incorporated entities KRA pin. That is it. And the KRA pin is just number one, a way in which they can track all the potential taxpayers, so that they can track that they have captured as many people as possible. And you can and through that KRA that tax pin, then they can determine your compliance, whether you are actually complying or not complying. So the purpose of KRA pin is so that uniquely the government can determine that Kulkare asked, governments can't operate businesses. I thought China does this. Kulkare, I'll talk about that. Governments can still operate businesses. That's why you saw things about the president of Kenya the other day saying that they're going to privatize some of the government corporations. Government corporations are basically government entities that were still allowed to do business. So governments can do business. Yeah. So let's come back to this other element of the class. So it means even when you go to KRA, there are taxes that are individual taxes, and then we have taxes that are corporate, that are purely for incorporated entities, and in that case, companies. So we are now going into now. Should we start with the individual, or we start with the? Should we start with the individual taxes, or we start with the incorporated entities taxes? Which ones do you want us to start with, guys? Tell me, where do you want us to start? Individual taxes or incorporated entities? Individual. Kulkare says individual. Jesinduta says individual. Okay, great. So let me open my notes. I had written them somewhere here. I had written them somewhere here. Yeah, just a minute. As an individual, you have things called, you are either payee, because how do you, if you want to understand individual taxes better, ask yourself, how do you make money? Ask yourself the question, how do you make money? And how you make money will determine to a significant degree how you can then define the tax that the government is expecting from you. So Because as an individual, you are either employed, or you are providing, you are either employed, or if you are not employed, you are self-employed. And if you're not self-employed, you have set up an incorporated entity. And I know some of you people didn't know that self-employment and entrepreneurship are two different things. Self-employment and entrepreneurship are two different things. So I hope you guys know that. Oh, volume. Okay. Self-employment and entrepreneurship are two different things. Did you guys know that? Anyway, we are coming to that. So if you're an individual, you are either employed, you are either self-employed, or you are running an entrepreneurial venture. And an entrepreneurial venture, you'll run it through registering a business, an incorporated entity. So number one, if you are employed, what are your tax obligations? Your tax obligations, the beautiful thing about being employed is that your employer will have already done what they need to do for you. And the employer has already done something called pay. So the employer has an obligation to withhold your pay and then they remit. In tax, there is something called still law. My goodness. Is it still law? Is it still law? Please respond to me. Is it still low, guys? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if the volume is okay now. Or I raise it like this. But I'll get tired. I return it to where it was. It's low. I can hear you very well. Okay. Can you guys hear me? I don't want you to. I don't want this class to. Okay. Okay, sawa. Okay, thank you, Winnie. Okay, so like I was saying, there are individual taxes. We have options. You are either employed, you are either self-employed, or you are carrying on an entrepreneurial venture. So if you are employed, you are lucky because your employer has an obligation. Yeah, the incidence of tax falls on you, but the responsibility of that tax to be remitted is falling on your employer. So what happens is the employer will withhold that tax, the payee amount. And like I told you, payee has an element of equity. Payee has an element of equity so that the people who earn the least in an organization are charged the least, and the people who earn the most in an organization, they are charged, of course, the most. And if you want to understand it even better, did you know there are an individual who earns like 1 million shillings a month in Kenya as an employee? You'll be surprised how much money the government takes from those people through pay. Sometimes you will see someone's payslip and the gross salary is 1 million, and then the money that goes into their pocket, you're like, my goodness, the government of Kenya is taking almost 350,000 from this person's salary. Can you imagine? Can you imagine you have a contract that says your monthly salary will be 1 million, but when the time comes for you to receive your money, you actually receive 600,000? Can you believe it? That is how pay is tough on the guys at the top. The guys at the top pay with their tooth and nail. Yeah, it is a bit better. It's just a bit. But that is what I was meaning when I told you that the principle of tax of equity actually does operate. So that the people who at least, and I think it's okay because the government recognizes that for you, whatever you need as a human being, there's a certain level you reach and you can still afford a very decent life, and then they can afford to take something away from you at that level. So we have payee. And payee as an employer, so I'm speaking to people about now as an employer who has employees. You are supposed to have you have to have filed your pay returns by the 9th of the following month. So if you have paid guys in, let's say, January, we are just about to get into the 9th. By Friday, so today is 7th. So by Friday, if you own a business, you're supposed to have already filed the payee for your organization, you're supposed to have already done that. And you are supposed to have generated something called a payment registration number. So that payment registration number is the one that you will use to make the payment. So I hope I'm clear with that. Payee, you have to file by the 9th of the following month after you have paid your people. And then once you're done, you generate something. You first of all generate a payment registration PIN, and then you make that payment. Now, the thing is this: if you fail to do that as required by the government, there is a penalty of 5% for late payment. There is a penalty of there's a penalty of 25% for late filing, or 20,000, whichever is higher. You know, the government always goes for whatever is higher. They go for whatever is higher. So if you fail to if you fail to file your returns on time, then the government will charge you 25% of what you are supposed to have filed. Yeah? And maybe I'm going too fast. Someone out here might be wondering, what is filing of taxes? Filing is just giving the government a report that this is what you should be expecting from me. When you hear people say filing returns, basically you are giving the government a report of what you have made and what you're supposed to be remitting to them. And the government will expect that what you have filed is what you're going to pay them. Understand? So if you fail to do that, they will charge you 5% for late payment. Then they'll charge you 25% for late submission of the money, or 20,000, whichever is higher. And of course, for as long as you don't pay that amount, they'll be charging you interest of 1% per month. And guys, from experience, I have seen so many companies struggle with this thing. People have taken this concept for granted. And then you see these things called penalties and interest. They just keep coming up and increasing and increasing and increasing. And then a time comes where you are told that the amount of money that you owe the government is this amount. You can't even believe it. So that is payee. So if you're an employed individual, that is payee. The next person, of course, as an employed individual, there are other things. Those are not taxes, but they are statutory obligations. We have something like NSSF, and then we have something like NHIF. And I think the obligation on that is also lying on the employer. So most of the time, the employees don't really know much about what is happening. Most employers, they will do that. But I want to tell you this, guys. It's so unfortunate that sometimes you think that your employer has withheld your NSSF and your NHIF and that they have remitted. But in truth, they haven't. You know the way employees just operate and they exist, they see the payslip, they assume that the employer is doing what the employer is doing. Then later on, they come and realize the employer actually didn't remit, the employer actually didn't file. But the beautiful thing is that, like I've told you, there is something in tax called the incidence and obligation of tax. While the incidence of that pay is falling on you, the obligation is not on you. The obligation is on the employer because the employer is expected to withhold. Sawa guys. So that is what payee, NSSF, and NHIF are all about. And like we always do in our class, we continue relaxing for a few seconds before we proceed. Please give me feedback. I don't like talking for too long without getting feedback from you on how we are doing. Are we on the same page? Or have I've started going into too much details that you guys are not understanding now? So I always appreciate a thumbs up. I always appreciate a thumbs up for how we are doing, guys. So if you're on the same page, tell me. Msinyamaze. Tell me that we are on the same page. So we are speaking about individual taxes. And I told you, as employed person, we have payee, we have NSSF, we have NHIF. And then we go back to now someone who is self-employed. Do you know the difference between someone who is self-employed and someone who is carrying on an entrepreneurial venture? Does anyone know the difference? Does anyone know the difference? Does anyone know the difference? Guys, engage me. Today I want to teach you something. Most of you have been thinking that all self-employed people are entrepreneurs and all entrepreneurs are self-employed. Lily, I have missed you. Welcome to our class. I was wondering where you are. Please greet the class and say where you have been. So, guys, tell me what is the difference between self-employed people and entrepreneurs? What is the difference? The world confuses self-employed people and the world confuses with entrepreneurs. Welcome to class, Lily. Oh, you are bathing. Okay, that's still fair enough. You have missed kidogo too, but you have an hour at least to go. So who understands the difference between self-employed and entrepreneurs? Because today I'm confirming to you that self-employed people are not the same as entrepreneurs. Who understands the difference? Fantabula says entrepreneurs are more innovative. That's a good take. That's a good take. That's a good take. Any other person who can try and explain to us what the difference between entrepreneurs and self-employed people is? Because people tend to call themselves, I'm an entrepreneur, but in reality you're not. Other people call it, I'm self-employed, but in reality you are an entrepreneur. So what is the difference? Any other trial, guys? Any other trial? My neck is getting stiff. Self-employed run the businesses on the self, yet entrepreneur are people who work for them. Okay, Winnie Jerusa, thank you for trying. I like you because you normally put an effort, Winnie. Winnie, you really put an effort and may God bless you. Yeah, and I've seen so many people who are in the live because you have shared the live. You are doing a great job. Self-employed work for themselves. Okay, great, Lily. Self-employed work for themselves. Okay. And what about entrepreneurs? Don't entrepreneurs work for themselves? Eh? One is growth oriented, the other is income. Okay, Kulkari, you're trying. Terry is saying entrepreneurs solve problems in the society in innovative ways. Awesome trial. Maritime says entrepreneurs ventures in different opportunities, but self-employed people focus on one shop. Wow. Amazing trial. Kate Stoika, Cynthia Mwangi. Cynthia, welcome. Welcome to our class. Say something, Cynthia. Welcome to our class. I am asking guys what is the difference between self-employed people and entrepreneurs. And guys are trying. Guys are really putting in the effort. What do we have here? Okay, let me explain to you guys. And today, after this class, I want you to walk out confident enough to be able to. One is come we stay, another is a marriage. Goodness me. Amazing. Okay, so let's do this. From today onwards, I want you to walk out of this class confident that you can be able to explain to someone the difference between a self-employed person and an entrepreneur. Guys, don't call yourself an entrepreneur unless you are pursuing an idea which is your original idea. Basically, you are solving a societal problem out of your own creativity. Nyangarisa, we'll speak about those things later. We are in a class. I am avoiding to speak much about the political issues in class, but I'll pick another day when I'll come back to you with that. But thank you, Nyangarisa. But stick around in our class. So entrepreneurs are people who solve problems. So number one, if you have not solved a problem through creation or innovation, you are not an entrepreneur. And even as a matter of fact, creative entrepreneurs are different from innovative entrepreneurs. There are creative entrepreneurs, people who create something out of nothing. And then we have innovators, people who make what has already been created better. The most fundamental definition of an entrepreneur is that you are solving a societal problem through your own original idea, through your own original solution. Understand, guys? Now, what is the difference between that and a self employed person? A self employed person is offering a service. You're offering a service which is a solution that was already created or innovated. You understand? I'll give you an example. My plumber is not an entrepreneur. My plumber who I can call and who comes to my house to make my taps or to just repair my taps and all that, that guy is not an entrepreneur because he is coming to solve my problem, but there is really nothing that he has created. He's just coming to take the tap which was already created and then he's closing that tap and he's just looking and correcting that issue. So he's self-employed. Basically, self-employed people, they use their skill to sell a service. Understand? Self-employed people use their skill to sell a service. Entrepreneurs build a solution, and that solution will be delivered through an incorporated entity or through a company. Understand? So if you're an entrepreneur, you must set up a company, and most entrepreneurs open companies, incorporated entities. If you call yourself an entrepreneur and you don't have a company, then how are you an entrepreneur, guys? Yes, an entrepreneur, like I've said, an entrepreneur, there are two aspects to entrepreneurship. We have creative entrepreneurs and we have innovative entrepreneurs. Creative entrepreneurs, they create something out of nothing. And most of the time, the creative entrepreneurs are the people like coders, like these guys who will create a software that never existed before. They are creating a software that is going to solve a problem that initially no one had thought about it. I'll give you an example of a creative entrepreneur. I like using these examples. The person who came up with Uber business, no one in their wildest dream ever thought that it is possible for people to share a ride, private ride. No one. And as a matter of fact, before then, such a platform never existed. But someone created something out of nothing. Someone went and created the Uber app out of nothing. And he created a platform where someone could be able now to proceed and to receive taxi services. You understand? But an innovator is an innovative entrepreneur is someone who will come and find something that is already functional. Something that is already functional, and they just make an improvement upon it. I'll give you an example. The first phones that were there, the first phones that we used back then, those phones could only call. You could only call with that phone or listen to music. I think it had a radio. You couldn't. There was no touch screen. There was no QWERTY keyboards. There was no WhatsApp. There was no, all these other things were not there. All these other things were not there. All these other things were not there. So someone who came up with a smartphone is not a creative entrepreneur, is an innovative entrepreneur. You understand? So they just innovated what had already existed. But the entrepreneur who created the phone, that is the creative, that is the original creator of a mobile phone. That is the person who is called a creative entrepreneur. But the person who came up with a smartphone is an innovative entrepreneur. Understand? So the difference I was telling you about someone who is self-employed and someone who is an entrepreneur is that a self-employed someone offers the service that they can do. They offer the service. They do the service by themselves. They come to your house and they repair the house, the plumber. They come to your house and they clean the house, the wash ladies or the laundry ladies. Understand? But the entrepreneur will set up a company, and that company will offer the service through the idea or the solution that they have created. And therefore, this is where the challenge comes. When it comes to taxes, the government has a very big problem when it comes to taxing self-employed people, because most self-employed people don't register businesses. Are you getting, guys? Your next door plumber has not registered a business. So how will the government know that this guy is making money? How will the government know this guy is making money? There is no way the government can know. If my plumber lives next to me and he walks up to my house and repairs my house, then I pay that guy 2,000. How does the government know that this guy has paid 2,000? The government cannot know. And that is one of the ways in which the government is losing money. People are making money in the economy and the government cannot be able to get that money. Understand? Self-employed people are the people that are giving the government the self-employed people are the people who are giving the government the headache of how the government will get money from them. The government has never found the best way to get money out of them. But recently, you noticed what the government did. Recently. So in its bid to try and maximize its taxes, the government tried to figure out how it can get self-employed people. They started moving around to check people who are doing business, but have what do you call it? Was it pay bill? Yeah, the pay bill number. Because they knew if you are doing business, then guys are paying you through the pay bill number. The government is not, so someone is asking, Nitro is asking, so the government is against self-employed people. No, the government is not against self-employed people. The government is just trying to say if you're making money on Kenyan soil, they need to get something out of it. Every person who is making money, the government needs to tax. And the government has not figured out the best way of getting money from people who are self-employed. The government is not discouraging. You get? So, if you noticed, there was a time they were moving around and checking people who have pay bill numbers. So what they were doing, they were just trying to figure out who are these people who are doing business, who are self-employed, and they are making money, but unfortunately, they are not in any system of the government. They are not anywhere. Because as an individual, you have the KRA PIN, so they cannot tax your personal individual number because you're not employed. If you're not employed, the government cannot tax your individual KRA PIN. But on the other hand, you are still making money as a plumber, you're making money as an electrician. How can the government get taxes from that money? And that is why the government decided to come up with this thing called business license. What do you guys call it? One something business license. Ebu tell me, I've forgotten the full identification. What is it called? One something business license. Guys, tell me. I know you know the name. This one, is it name? Name something. This single business permit. I was wondering, why am I forgetting this thing? Yes. That is why the government came up with the single business permit. And the single business permit is basically supposed to encourage the self-employed people to register, so that at least now the government can have an understanding of what you do, and so that you also don't have to go through, because people were saying, self-employed people were saying, why should I go through all the process of registering a company? The process of registering an incorporated company is too long, or there is just a lot. In fact, you're supposed to pay 10,000 for you to register an incorporated entity, a limited liability company, or a sole proprietorship. You pay like what? It's like 10,000 for registering a business. So most self-employed people were saying, why should I go and pay 10,000 to register a business? It's too much money. So to help people, the government came up with a single business permit, so that self-employed people can register. And once they register, at least now the government has the details that you are doing business, and they will eventually now need money from you. That is what the single business permit is supposed to achieve, guys. You get? Now, we are moving slowly, but we are making progress. So, self-employed people, there is no way the government can get to you. Fortunately or unfortunately, you are lucky. So you do business a lot, but I'll tell you where now the catch-22 comes. I'll tell you where you guys are losing out as a self-employed person. Now, and the final now is entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are people who have now registered businesses. They have registered businesses, they are offering solutions, and the moment you register business, other taxes now come in. The moment you register either a sole proprietorship, or a limited liability company, or a public company, or a private company limited by guarantee, I'll explain to you one day what all those things mean. Then you officially join the club. You officially join the club of people who are paying taxes from a business perspective. Now, as a business, what are the taxes that you pay? Number one tax that you pay as a business is something called income tax. income tax. And income tax, I don't know how I'm going to explain this very simply so that we are all on the same page. Income tax is basically the tax that is charged on the income that you have generated from that business. You remember how I taught you guys the other day about revenue. So once you've made your revenue, yeah, and then you have removed your direct expenses, and then you have removed your operating expenses, you remain down there with something called profit. That net profit is what the government charges income tax, and it is usually 30%. So the government will charge 30% on your net income down there. And that, guys, is what income tax is. It is charged for an incorporated entity. So there is no income tax charged. Income tax to an incorporated entity is like payee to an employed person. So when an employed person pays income tax, they pay payee. But when a business pays income tax, you are just now paying something called the income tax, corporate tax. It's called corporate tax, 30% from your net, profit. So how do I know what I know? I am an economist. And one day we'll do an economic class, guys. An economic class is coming. So we have done a bit of accounting this week. We have done a bit of taxes today. We'll do some bit of economics next week. But my target is that throughout the week, we touch something on economics, we touch something on accounting, and we touch something on the political science. I don't want to call it politics. Politics is not the best word to describe it. It is political science. Yeah. Talk about our stock exchange. And by the way, guys, sorry I'm diverting kidogo too. I am starting, there is something I've been meaning to do. The world out here has, in Kenya especially, has really, forex trading really has a very bad name on our Kenyan market. People have spoiled the forex trading name in our Kenyan market. And did you know that forex trading is a viable business venture? Did you know that it's a viable business venture? But it has been spoiled in Kenya so much, such that when people sit and speak about forex trading, any person who comes and says I do forex trading, you automatically start thinking of him as a crook. Understand? And the people who are showing the successes of forex trading are making it look like it's so simple, and they make it look like it's so obvious. Yeah? Such that people are shying away. Even if today I go and speak to someone about, for example, forex trading, I don't do it myself, but I know it's a viable business venture. And there's a reason why it is regulated by the Capital Markets Authority, guys. Forex trading and buying of shares are not different. Any person who deals in shares is equally the same like someone who deals in forex trading. So today I want you guys to know that forex trading is not for crooks. It is not for crooks. And the beautiful thing is that I have a lot planned out for you guys. I am going to educate you step by step into understanding what forex trading is. And I will demystify all those theories that are currently existing in our Kenyan market, so that Kenyans can get employment. Why should we be struggling with employment when someone can actually start doing forex trading and it can elevate them from where they are? Why can't we do forex trading? If people are making money out of forex trading around the world, why can't Kenyans make money through forex trading, guys? Yeah? Why? I get so angry every time I see unemployment in Kenya is increasing by the day, and yet outside Kenya, people are living off forex trading just because a few people have made forex trading to look like it's for crooks. So for my class, you see, even I've changed I'm getting angry. I'm even getting angry. Yeah? Forex trading is a legitimate business venture, guys. It's a legitimate business venture. And one of these fine days, we are going to break it down. And as a matter of fact, I have already gotten access to someone who is a renowned forex trader in Kenya, one of the few successful ones. And I'm going to welcome him on my YouTube channel, and we are going to discuss and we are going to talk. And I don't want you guys to miss. I don't want you to miss that conversation. I'm going to do a series of almost for 6 months. For almost 6 months, I will just educate Kenyans on what forex trading is, what they need to look out for, all those kind of things. And after that, I'm hoping a few people in my class will be able to become forex traders. Yeah. And you see now the reason why I'm telling you, you need to follow my YouTube channel. It's a new channel. So usiende huko, then you find that I have a few followers. Then you think that now you can't follow me. Go there, follow me, and wait, because so much is coming up. So much is coming up. We have to rescue our country, and you have to rescue our country like people who have gone to school. And education and knowledge is definitely power. So, now that I've finished my rant, I was ranting. I was ranting in my class. So now that I'm done with ranting, let's go back to class. Where was I? Hey guys, remind me where I was in class. Where was I? Where was I? Where was I? I want to see whether we were. Rod says I was on income tax. Income tax. Income tax. Income tax. Blue MS says I was on income tax. Income tax. What was I saying about income tax? Remind me. See, the problem of having a mind that is working 100% of the time. It keeps running up and down. Hey, today time has moved so fast. Time has moved so fast. I'm not. Good. Good. Blue MS is listening. Kulkare, you've gone silent, but I can see entrepreneurs and self-employed. Okay. Okay, so I was telling you, if you have come, you've missed yesterday and the other day, because I had spoken to people about how you can calculate your net taxes. So once you get your income, net profit, sorry. Once you get your net profit, that is where the government takes its income tax. And Rod had said when he pays payee and then he pays income tax, he feels cheated. And I'll tell you the reason why Rod that happens. It's because you have two pins. A company, an incorporated company has its separate PIN. And remember, the government taxes on the PIN number. So it will consider that your payee, your income from employment is different from the income that the business is generating. You as an individual and the business are two separate entities when it comes to matters tax. The government treats you completely different because you have two different PINs. You get? That is why you will be charged differently. Because on this other end, you're an individual, and on this other end, this is an incorporated entity. And an incorporated entity is completely different from the owner of the business. It has its own life. Yeah. So that is where now the income tax is calculated. The next tax, okay, I had not told you when it comes to compliance what you need to do with income tax. Income tax, you're supposed to file your income tax by the 6th month of the calendar year. What is the 6th month of the calendar year, guys? What is the 6th month of the calendar year? June. Thank you. So you are supposed to file by the 6th month of the calendar year. That means you're supposed to file by June, by the end of June. So if, let's say, this is 2023, so like, for example, si tumemaliza 2023, you are supposed to file by June of 2024. Understand? And remember what I told you what filing is. What did I say filing is? What did I say filing is? Filing is basically a report of how you have performed and what you are telling the government, this is what I'm going to pay you. So when you hear someone say, I'm going to file my returns, you're basically saying, I'm going to give the government a report of what I'm going to pay them. And it is normally done. Let me just respond to this. Jafet Chacha is asking, is there a way you can draw benefits from your business without paying income tax twice? Is there a way? But how do you pay income tax? You can't pay twice. You can't pay twice, guys. Income tax, you only pay once. The 30% is what you pay. Because your PIN and the PIN, the individual employment PIN is not the same as the business PIN, the one that you're running as a business. So no one is going to charge you income tax on your employment and then on your business as the same. They are not the same. So you'll just pay payee individually and then you pay corporate tax for the business. Yeah. So report returns based on, okay, you report returns based on your income statement. Blue MS, that's why I would have loved that you join us yesterday and the day before that. I had taken guys through what an income statement is, what our financial statements are. Because it is only after you have prepared financial statements that you will be able to know how much profit you have made. Because remember, you are paying the government from the profits. It is your net profit that you're going to charge 30%. Thank you, Blue. Yeah. So it's from your net taxes that you're going to, it's from your net profits that you're going to charge. It's from your net profits that you're going to charge what? Your taxes. So once you have financial statements, you, from your financial statements, you go and do your return by the 6th month of the calendar year. You get, guys? And then after that, then the question is, I want to see whether we have accountants in the building. How do you guys think you pay corporate tax? This corporate tax that you have filed in June. Yeah? How do you pay? How do you pay once you file? How do you pay? Guys, I might not respond to all the comments that you guys are bringing up, but remember, I think even tomorrow I'll still continue with tax. Tax is voluminous. Tax has a lot, so I've already seen that I'll not manage to finish all today. So don't worry, I'll review the video, I'll see those comments, and then I'll pick out a few things that I'll respond tomorrow. I think we'll still do taxes tomorrow. Yeah. So I've just asked you guys a question. How do you think you pay corporate tax? How do you think you pay corporate tax? How do you pay corporate tax? Once you have told the government that you owe them this amount of money, how do you think you pay corporate tax? Is there any accountant in the building who knows? Any accountant in the building who knows how we pay corporate tax to the government? Any accountant rescue us? An accountant to rescue us? Any accountant to rescue us? Any accountant to rescue us, guys? There is no accountant to rescue us. Okay. You pay corporate tax through something called installment tax. No, there's something called installment tax. So how you pay corporate tax? So when you hear someone talk about installment tax, it's not a different tax. It's not a different tax. Installment tax is how you pay the corporate tax. So once you have shown the government, once you have filed your return with the government and you say it's 30%, so let's say your net profit is 1 million, and then you have filed with the government that so 30% of 1 million is what? 300,000. So it means you need to pay the government 300,000. So this is what will happen, guys. You need to pay that 300,000 through something called installment tax. So installment tax is not any different. Installment tax is just the way that you pay that corporate tax. So you will divide that 300,000 into 4. You divide that 300,000 into 4 installments. That's why it is called an installment tax. And then you will pay it quarterly. So you're supposed to remit. Let me take an example of. So every year, you count January, February, March. You pay a quarter of that amount. So quarterly. Then April, May, June, you pay another quarter of that amount. July, August, September, you pay a quarter of that amount. And then you complete October, November, December. So installment tax is how you pay your corporate tax. Anytime you hear someone talk about installment tax, let it not shock you. Let it not shock you, guys. That is how you pay. So that the reason the government did that the government was getting tired of waiting for people to file returns. So what used to happen is this. So guys will file returns in June. They will just file the return, but they will not remit the money. So the government will follow up with people. So serikali ingefuata. The government will follow up with people. Pay. You filed returns with us, and you say that you made 1 million in net profit, and then you are supposed to give us 300,000. So the government will keep following up with people, but companies will file, but they will not pay. So the government had to find a way in which they could get that money, and that's why they introduced installment tax as a way of collecting corporate tax. Understand? And for them to be able to do that, they made sure that they put, of course, penalties and interest in case you don't remit. In case you don't remit. So these are the interests and the penalties. So if you fail to pay installment tax on time, the government will charge you 5%. 5%. If you fail to pay installment tax, the government will charge you 5%. If you fail to do late submission, penalty is 5% or 20,000, whichever is higher. So if you fail to submit that amount, it is 5% or 20,000 or 20,000, whichever is higher. I told you the government always goes for whatever is higher. And then you will be charged 1% in interest for as long as that money is not paid. So Blue MS asks me, is it debited directly to the account? On your KRA account? On the installment, guys. Rod, it's on the installment. So 5% on the installment. And let me tell you something. This is a trouble that Keroche Breweries found itself in. Do you guys remember the story of Keroche Breweries? That is what happened. Keroche Breweries found itself with penalties and interest, only penalties and interests, going to the tune of billions. How do you pay billions? How do you pay billions when you owe the government? Because if you pay that, then the company will go down. And you see now, you remember how Tabitha Karanja had to plead with the government. She had to plead because she knew if the government forces her to make that payment, then Keroche Breweries will be as good as done. And she even now realized that how political alignment is important and critical to business, especially in an environment like Africa. And you can clearly see she joined politics. You see how these things work. She knew that for her to protect her business, she has to join politics. So sometimes you see politicians getting into politics, you think, this one is a politician. This one is not a politician. People are looking out for themselves. So she knew, couldn't she borrow more from the bank to do what? To pay that money. No bank can do that because they will just know that they are sinking their money into something that is going insolvent. So no bank can give you, especially when they see such a crisis, they can't give you. No bank can pay for you that unless we have crooks running the bank systems, but they can't. Yeah. So that is what installment tax is, guys. Yeah. And that is just one tax. That is just corporate tax. We have not even touched withholding tax. We have not even touched VAT. We have not touched excise duty. And we are only 15 minutes away. So what I will do, guys, is this. This class is very interesting. Tax is sweet. Tax is always sweet. And time just goes by. I think you've realized time has just flown. I didn't even realize that actually you only have 15 minutes to go. But I don't know whether I should add more time. But if I should add more time, you guys will gift me. You guys gift me. I will see if I can get to... I'll see if I can get to 10, 15. I can add some 15 more minutes. But like I've said, I think I will... I'll be able to continue with the tax even tomorrow. Kenyan Maple, you're saying corporate tax is filed in June. It is not filed in June, it is filed by June. By June, you can even file your corporate tax right now. You can even file your corporate tax right now. So don't worry. It's yeah. So guys, if you gift me, we probably, and I think December is the end of the financial year. Those are two different things. So the financial year, someone has asked, Kenya Maple has asked, the December one is which one? Companies have a financial year. Most companies have their financial year running from January to December. You understand? So when you go to file between January and June, you're giving the report for that year. Understand? So you are basically going to the government to tell them that for the beginning of 1st January of this year, of last year, let's say for example, up to 31st of that year, this is what I have been able to make. And you have between January to June for you to file. Thank you so much, Roy. Roy, you're doing so well. Roy is really gifting me, and I think Roy could be. Roy, are you the top gifter for today? Are you the top gifter? I need to appreciate you. So guys, if you continue gifting me, I'll appreciate. I'm learning. These TikTok things. I am not so good at it. The only thing I'm good at is educating my people. So the rest of the things will fall into place. And if someone maybe has a company making losses doesn't post income tax, yes or no? A company making losses will still have to file returns. So you'll still have to file returns. And once you file those returns, then when you make losses, you are allowed to recover losses. Yeah? And losses are the avenue through which some of these companies, losses are the ways in which some of these companies actually use to avoid paying taxes. You remember you asked me about tax avoidance. Someone asked me about tax evasion and tax avoidance. One of the ways in which is to declare losses. Because when you declare losses, you are not supposed to pay to the government. In fact, you will recover. You will recover you will use that loss in the following year for you to reduce your tax obligations. So there are so many companies that are reporting losses so that they can use those losses in the following year for them to be able to avoid tax. And I will teach you that. So losses, you still have to file your returns. You will still have to file your returns. The only thing is that there is no tax to be paid. Tax is vast. Did you know that company law is the most voluminous legislation that has ever been done in Kenya? Company law, it is the most voluminous legislation that has been done in Kenya. It has almost 1,600 pages, guys. And inside company law, that is where we are finding things like the Income Taxes Act. So you can imagine how voluminous that document is. So I can tell you for sure, this class will not definitely have been enough for us to exhaust anything in tax. But I'm glad you have just started. And I'm sure you guys have enjoyed. I'm sure you guys have learned. Tell me something. Tell me if you guys have learned. And that is just the introduction. We have not yet even gone into tax evasion, tax avoidance. We have not even gone into tax havens. I know you guys have heard of tax havens. We have not even touched on tax havens. Yeah? We have not even done excise duty. We have not done exemption. Yeah? So there is a lot to be learned. The most important thing you need to note is that just follow me, guys. Follow me. Follow me. Follow me. And support me. Yeah, support me so that I can build a whole followership. Every person who has great content has managed to build. Every person who has managed to build a followership, who has content has built a great followership. and I want to build mine. And I want you to know that this class is called the Army of Smart People. So if anyone asks you, just tell them I'm going to join my other army of the other army of my fellow smart people. Yeah. So I don't know whether we have achieved our target today for 100 followers on YouTube. Do we still have any person in my class who has not followed me on YouTube? If there is any person in my class who has not followed me on YouTube, click on my bio, click that link and follow. I don't know whether I've achieved my target. I don't know whether I've achieved my target. So if I have not achieved my target, I will just tell God that maybe we come back tomorrow and try again. So tomorrow again we will be doing this. I will just go further deeper into this content of taxes, and you guys need to learn about tax, because there is nothing you will do either as an employed person or as a business person that will not have tax in it. Thank you, Rod, for the gift. Thank you, Rod, for the gift. You see, even my voice is getting hoarse, so let me get a couple of water. Thank you, Rod, for the gift. Thank you. Yeah. Rod, we have achieved. We have achieved the target. Have we achieved the target? For people who don't know, Rod is my class rep. We have a class rep here. Oh, awesome. If you have achieved the target, then that's great. So, guys, for those who don't know, Rod is my class rep. Ananisaidia sana. Amekuwa very active, yeye na Terry. They're just amazing people, and I hope one day to meet them personally. I hope one day when we have our own masterclass, when I will organize a physical meetup, where we'll pick this conversation from a physical perspective, then we'll be able to interact even more. So if you see Rod frequently just putting down the notes or putting down the titles, that is my class rep. And if you see Terry there encouraging, she also is doing some tremendous work, and she has done a great job in just building this platform, helping me to build this platform. I have another one called Lily, but today she has been so silent. I don't know what has been her distraction. I don't know what has been distracting her. But Lily is another very good student of mine, and I truly appreciate. There are people I've not seen today, but I hope I'll see them tomorrow. But having said that, I will put my number for the last time for the people who are asking me whether I can provide my number so that they can support me in whatever form. I will repeat again, that's my number, guys. Someone has already asked me my number. There it is. If you don't know how to gift there are people who don't know how to gift on what? They don't know how to gift on TikTok. So then they need the number. So the number is there. I have pinned it. I've pinned the number there. So in case you need to support the channel or you need to support this process, there it is. Yes. So guys, when the class ends, what do I normally do? What do I normally do when the class ends? I bring back our jazz music, and we'll just listen to the jazz as I keep talking to probably people who will come in after you guys have left. There are some people who will come after you guys have left, and they will want to. So I'll stick around for another probably just between 5 to 10 minutes. Rod, you're asking me what services do I offer to companies? Okay. I have so many service offerings. Number one, to start with, I offer accounting services. I can do basic bookkeeping for you, just to make you understand how your company is operating, just how your numbers look like. Remember the other day I told you guys there is no way you can grow a company without really knowing. You can't move without knowing where you are. Sometimes it's good you know where your company is in terms of numbers before you can even start making headway. So accounting is very vital to businesses. It gives you a clear picture of where your business is. So I do bookkeeping, I do financial advisory. So financial advisory is for the people who are already doing bookkeeping and they now want to understand from a finance perspective, looking into the future, what do those numbers mean going forward? How can they use those numbers to predict or to strategize for the future? So that is where that's where my financial advisory services come into. But as well, I also do financial auditing. I told you that I professionally am a trained auditor and I can do auditing. So in the event that you already have a financial statement, someone has already done financial statements for you, and you intend for me to review those financial statements and to give you my auditor's opinion, then I can also be able to do that. And then finally, I do something called market research. Market research is where I advise you on how to understand a specific niche of the market, where you can be able now to use that information to make or to come up with your decision making. So after you've understood your space, you have identified a certain niche, you want to understand something called the available market or the serviceable market or the total market that is available to your business. How then do you come up with the way forward? So that is basically called market analysis or market analytics. So in case you wanted to know what I do, those are some of the things I can do professionally. Rod, I hope that has answered your question. Eunice Kihumba, thank you. Tajeu, thank you for coming. Mamp, thank you for joining. Any person who is joining us now, the class is over. I am sorry that you have come in when the class is over and our jazz has just begun. Our jazz. Any person who has just joined us, we have just completed our tax class. And what I want you to do is just to follow me. Follow me on my YouTube channel. We had a target of 100 people following me on my YouTube channel. And I hope that you guys will follow me on my YouTube channel. Other than that, you want to understand the state of the Kenyan economy, please go to the video that I've just posted today and you will never get a better explanation to understand exactly what is happening to the country, Kenya. You want to understand the different policies that President Uhuru took and the different policies that President William Ruto has taken and how those different approaches have had an impact in our economy, then you need to watch the video that I've just spoken to you about. Other than that, it has been a great time. I have enjoyed my time with you guys and I can't wait for tomorrow, which will be our last class for this week until Monday. And you guys have been awesome and I thank God that we are growing this great family of smart people. So if you have just joined us, please follow me and tomorrow will be another day for us to have an amazing time and for us to definitely continue our learning process. So I'll go silent and now the jazz will continue. The jazz will just continue as I approach the end of my class.